Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video, we are going to do a full character analysis on the upcoming Super Sugo Fest exclusive Law, and you can decide if it is worth to pull for him or not. He will be released in the part 1 of the Super Sugo Fest along with Luffy and Kid on September 11th, but if you exclusively want to go for Law, he will have better rates in his exclusive part number 3, where he will be alone without the other two Super Sugo Fest exclusive characters available. His part will debut one day after part 1. Very important to mention that Law is a Super Sugo Fest exclusive, something that means that he will only be pullable in Super Sugo Fests, not in normal ones, and he won't be available in reward tickets either, except of course if it is mentioned. Now let's break down his abilities and see how good he really is. Law is a Dex Super type Super Sugo Fest unit that will be Slasher and Cerebral. He has 3 limit break abilities, including the new Final Tap one that we will see extensively later, and he also has no healing duration reduction and slot bind reduction, which is pretty nice. As a captain, Law boosts attack of Dex, Slasher and Cerebral characters by 5 and their HP by 1.3 times. He makes Strength and Q orbs beneficial for all characters, while also recovering 0.5 times this character's RCV at the end of the turn each time you hit a perfect. A very straightforward but still good captain ability. Boosting Dex along with Slasher and Cerebral is pretty good, especially because Cerebral is one of the best classes in the game. He is very similar to Kid and Luffy in that aspect because all of them boost one type and 2 classes. He makes some orbs beneficial, very nice, and has the classic Law healing at the end of the turn for its perfect, which can also be very helpful. For his special ability, he cuts the current HP of one enemy by 10% that will ignore damage negating abilities and barriers, which in my opinion is very underwhelming. Since you make a Super Sugo Fest Law, just let this HP cut also go through now. That would actually be pretty cool. But as it is, it's nothing special. He also changes his own orb, including block slots, into a Dex orb, and boosts attack of Dex, Slasher and Cerebral characters by 2.75 for one turn. He also ignores debuff protection, meaning immunity, and inflicts all enemies with increased damage taken by 1.5 times for one turn. The second part of his special is definitely better. Having his own orb matching is very nice, and his attack boost is very high at 2.75, which is awesome. Definitely a good special, but it could have been better with some slight improvements. Now for his support, he has a very generic support like the other two Super Sugo Fest units, only adding 12% of this character's base stats to the supported character's base stats, and he can be attached to every Dex character in the game. As I mentioned, he is a Super type unit, and for his Super type requirement, he must be captain, and the members of the crew must consist at least of one of the supernovas. His Super type special, after you unlock it, can recover 25% of crew's maximum HP, allowing HP overfill up to 2 times max HP. He also changes block orbs into matching orbs and locks them for one turn while making the Dex units Super type Dex. That is actually a very good Super type special. He actually takes things from his special that are lacking and implements them here. So, for example, he changes everyone's block slots into matching. So his special only changes his own orb, something I did not like, but his Super type can make up for it. Of course, if he is a sub, that won't happen. He also allows overheal and recovery with his Super type, the only Super type in the game that actually does this, and it's a pretty nice thing to have. Overall, as you can see from his captain ability and also Super type special, this Law can be pretty tanky, pretty similarly to V3 Law and also Halloween Law. I'm not going to say that he's a must-have unit, but he's definitely a very good Dex captain and unit in general. He can be very unique with the increased damage taken to the enemy, especially if you do not have V2 Kaido, you have probably never used this mechanic before, like myself, but at the same time, he has a very strong attack boost for some very nice classes. Cerebral is definitely one of the best in the game and has many units that Law can help out with this attack boost. Let's now take a closer look at his final tap limit break ability, or as it was known in the JB version, his last tap ability. The condition for its activation is that on the last stage, your HP needs to be above 70%. Now the final tap at level 1 adds 5% of enemy's current HP to this character's normal attack damage. Pretty nice, Law will get a boost, so nothing wrong with that. And in a completely different stratosphere from Kid's final tap, you don't really care about Law's final tap ruining your damage, which is very good. The higher the level you have it, the better. From level 2 onwards, something extra is added to his final tap. First of all, the percentage of the enemy's current HP you can add to Law's normal attack is increased, but along with that, Law will reduce the defense of all enemies to 0 for 1 turn, and from level 3 onwards, he will also give you a conditional attack boost. At level 3, 1.75 times against defense down opponents, at level 4 by 2 times, and at level 5 by a very high amount of 3 times. This does not go through full immunity though, so have that in mind. It is definitely a very strong final tap ability, but at the same time I do not think Law absolutely needs it in order for him to be good. Without a doubt though, the level that you see a major difference happening in his ability is level 3. From then onwards, I would even say that his conditional attack boost becomes a bit redundant. Like you don't really need a 3 times conditional defense down attack boost in order for you to beat a quest in the game. Almost nothing will require you to do that. Which is a good thing by the way, because this final tap, limit break ability and mechanic in general is of course catering towards whales. But for free-to-play players, level 1 can be absolutely fine. Time to talk about the rare recruit that is actually advertised in the Law banner, the new rare recruit Jinbe. He will be strength and he will also be fighter and cerebral. He will have 2 limit break abilities, dex damage reduction and also ship bind reduction, which is pretty nice because not a lot of units actually have this. His captain ability is not important, you are never going to use him as captain outside of a treasure map. Now for his special ability, the important part, he reduces bind duration by 5 turns and reduces enemies' threshold damage reduction duration by 5 turns. If HP is below 51% at the start of the turn, so we can already see that he can synergize with Super Sugo Fest exclusive Kid, even though he is with Law, but he can be pulled in other parts as well. So if that condition is met, he recovers 50% of crew's maximum HP and boosts the color affinity of Strength, Dex and Q characters by 2 times for 1 turn. He boosts the color affinity of the same colors by 1.75 for 2 turns otherwise. That is actually a very decent special. Not only can he provide utility to you, but he can also provide a color affinity for 3 different colors. That is very nice, and even if you cannot get the 2 times color affinity boost, the 1.75 times 1 lasts for 2 turns, 1 turn extra, which you never know can be helpful. For his support at level 5, he reduces damage received from Dex characters by 5%, and he adds 13% of this character's base HP to the supported character's base HP. I think he supports all of the Straw Hats, but his support is not good anyways. For his Sailor ability, he has the very generic boost of base HP for Strength, Dex and Q by 50. His Limit Break Sailor ability allows him to not get blown away. This is actually very nice as a Limit Break Sailor ability, especially for a Jinbe unit that can have a very nice special. Overall, Jinbe is a very decent unit. If you get the new Super Sugo Fest exclusive units, that would be a nice pairing for him, but even if you don't, Just because he gives 3 different colors a color affinity, he can definitely still see play, especially if we consider that he removes 5 turns of 2 different debuffs. For the final part of the video, we can take a look at some of the legends in the game that have great synergy with the new Super Sugo Fest exclusive law. First of all, the units that will grant you damage boost. Here we only have Halloween Shanks, and he actually is a very nice color affinity booster to pair up with Law. The reason for that is because he gives a color affinity for 2 times to the same exact classes that Law gives an attack boost to, Slasher and Cerebral. And considering that the color affinity that Shanks will give you is 3 turns, that can be a great combination. Now, if for some reason you have a high number of int units in your crew, Shanks can also provide a chain boost. For the second category, we have utility and orb manipulating units, and of course we have to see V1 and V2 Shirahoshi and Mancer here along with Chopper. All of them cerebral and extremely good utility units. I also have Barto and Cavendish here because both of their versions are boosted by Law and their swap can be helpful in some specific situations, but unfortunately their special not so much. Sugar is also here because she is cerebral and she can be a sub that turns everyone to toy bears, and that will allow Law and the rest of the crew to penetrate barriers. She's a very good unit and also very unique, so definitely deserves a spot. Finally, we have the both category with units that give you a damage boost, but also utility and orbs. So here we have units like a unit that can perfectly match with the new Super Sugo Law, and that is V3 Super Type Zoro. Zoro is incredible because he can allow Law to get his Super Type ability, and then he also gives you boosts that are not similar to Law's. So he doesn't give you an attack boost, pretty much. He gives you an orb boost, a color affinity boost with his super type special, and if he is captain, he can also reduce special bind for 10 turns, which is awesome. He can also give you some special cooldown reduction, which is just a plus. We also have units that are very unique here, like Pudding, and against a side boss, Pudding with Halloween Shanks as a subs to a Law team can be extremely good, because you use Law, you store the attack boost with Pudding, you also use Shanks, and just because his color affinity is 3 turns, if the boss does not clear buffs in the next stage, you are going to have Law's attack boost again because of Pudding and Shanks' color affinity. Other very good units as well that do both things are Shanks crew, Mihawk and Perona, that we also saw work very nicely with Kid, Roger and Odin of course, the newly super evolved Cracker, and we also have a Kizuna limited unit, Sanji and Pudding. Of course, Sanji and Pudding, they concentrate around fighter and cerebral units, and Law is a cerebral himself while also boosting the class. So Sanji Pudding, very helpful by giving you a color affinity boost and also reducing threshold and damage reduction fully. Other super type legends that you can use along with a Law friend captain for example are definitely Kid and Hawkins. Now Hawkins is not incredible, but he will allow Law to get his super type special, and Kid will do the same, but he can also provide you with an attack boost in a different stage than the one you are going to use Law's attack boost in. Lastly, I will talk about Luffy-Taro and Zoro-Juro because they are a very good pairing with Law. Both of them are slasher, and specifically Zoro is also Dex, which is nice. They will allow Law to get his super type, and they will offer an orb boost and a chain lock with their special, and they are also able to provide you Wano slots if they are captain or friend captain, and of course give you some utility with their swap. A very underrated unit in One Piece Treasure Cruise that can work wonders along with this Super Sugo Fest Law. And that was my character analysis for Super Sugo Fest Law. Hopefully you enjoyed the video because I know many of you anticipate Law a lot, especially because he won the poll for most anticipated character and analysis video by a landslide. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, I would really appreciate it, and subscribe to the channel for more character analysis videos in the future. You can also check my full character analysis for Kid and Luffy. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.